Elizabeth looks a little different. Don't you think so?
What do you mean? This is how she looks.
Since when?
Since she arrived.
See, I told you she was different.
Oh, you can't be serious right now. That is Queen Elizabeth II and this is Queen Elizabeth I.
Wait, so there's two of them?
By saying two of them, I hope you mean that there are two queens with the name of Elizabeth in the English monarch.
Wow, I never knew this. So is she famous? Does she...
Pause! It's time to get good.
General overview on Elizabethan era. Elizabeth I, daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, was the Queen of England from 1558 to 1603. Woodward in 2018 stated that as child, Elizabeth was gifted to receive excellent education despite being a girl and was admired for her gift in acquiring languages at the age of 10. In 1547, Henry VIII died, making Elizabeth's half-brother Edward VI his successor to the throne. However, the death of Edward VI in 1553 made Elizabeth's older half-sister Mary I the Queen of England.
According to the book, Queen Elizabeth I, Representations of the Virgin Queen by King. Elizabeth I was referred to as the Virgin Queen due to aversion to marriage despite receiving many suitors. Although she was not married to anyone, Elizabeth I was said to be symbolically married to her country England. In March 1603, the monarch of Tudors came to an end with the death of Queen Elizabeth I due to the lack of heir.
The English Renaissance is frequently linked to the Elizabethan era. According to Ada 2020, Renaissance derives from French, which means rebirth. Between the 14th and 17th centuries, a revival of interest in the arts, sciences and learning spread through Europe. Ada claims that during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, England enjoyed a cultural renaissance with the development of poetry, literature and music, and that the spirit of the Renaissance flourished there. As a result of England's rich culture and creative heritage, the Elizabethan era is often referred to as the peak of the English Renaissance.
There are many significant characteristics in the Elizabethan era. So the first significant characteristic is
the significant contribution to English literature.
This era is often referred to as the golden age of English literature due to the emergence of many literary works during this period. According to Adha, the writers had to obey many rules of English literature before the Elizabethan age. Thus, the writers were restricted from expressing their true emotions due to the constraint of the rules. However, Elizabethan era being part of the Renaissance period provided writers with the freedom of producing literary works without being confined by the rules. The main characteristic of Renaissance people are individualism and secularism. They have the freedom to express their feeling and also have a strong feeling to find something new. The literature produced throughout the Elizabethan era was no longer centered on religious themes or principles addressed in church. Instead, it focused more on the imaginations and creativities of the writers in creating their own story. The works of prominent playwrights and poets such as William Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, and Christopher Marlowe gained popularity during this period. Moreover, Queen Elizabeth I herself indulged in English literature by producing her own works such as On Monsieur Departures and The Doubt of Future Force. Besides literature, the Elizabethan era was marked by
The significant social changes.
The significant social changes, such as the transition from Catholicism to Protestantism during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. Protestantism was adopted by Henry VIII in 1534, and the Bible that were originally published in Latin were authorized to be translated into English. However, Henry VIII's effort in the reformation of religions were halted by Queen Mary I during her reign. Protestantism and all other religions except Catholicism were strictly forbidden and their practice were punishable by law. During the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, Protestantism were reinstated as England's official religion. Queen Elizabeth I supported and advocated religious freedom and encouraged religious toleration. Her religious tolerance in bringing peace between religious factions led people to celebrate her reign. Lastly, is the social life experience during the Elizabethan era had its respective pros and cons. The wealth gap between the different social classes expanded during this period, wherein the rich got richer while the poor got poorer. Fashion and clothing were significant aspects of Elizabethan culture as it reflects an individual's wealth and social status. The nobles wore clothing made of luxurious fabrics such as silk and velvet. Although the Elizabethan era was a time of learning, it was also the time of foolishness as the rich would spend excessive amount of money on clothing and jewelry. In order to regulate the attire of people from different social classes, sumptuary laws were enforced during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. Besides that, the art of witchcraft was strongly believed during the Elizabethan era. Individuals from lower classes, especially women, were suspected of being witches. The imbalanced development during this period led to the rise of unemployment in the countryside, thus increasing the wealth gap between social groups. Individuals from countryside moved to a major city in the country to seek for job opportunities. The overcrowding of the cities contributed to the outbreaks of plague during the Elizabethan era for its poor hygiene.
I grieve and dare not show my discontent. I love and yet am forced to seem to hate. I do, yet dare not say I ever meant. I seem stark mute, but inwardly do prate. I am and not, I freeze and yet am burnt, since from myself another self I turned.
My care is like my shadow in the sun, follows me flying, flies when I pursue it, stands and lies by me, doth what I have done. His too familiar care doth make me rue it. No means I find to rid him from my breast, till by the end of things it be suppressed.
Some gentler passion slide into my mind, for I am soft and made of melting snow. Or be more cruel, love, and so be kind. Let me, or float, or sink, be high or low. Or let me live with some more sweet content, or die and so forget what love e'er meant.
Queen Elizabeth I was not only one of the most famous queens in the entire world, but she was also very famous for her written literature. When she was alive, none of her poems or any novels or any stories were published. But after she passed away, her auditors found a set of collections about literature, and one of the poems that was in it was On Monsieur's Departure. On Monsieur's Departure is mainly revolving around a woman's grief towards losing a lover, and then she's navigating her emotions. We have specifically chosen biographical lens to navigate this poem simply because there's a lot of context that we can get from the life of Queen Elizabeth I in connecting the information of the poem with her personal life.
And the title of the poem itself, which is On Monsieur's Departure, is kind of a giveaway about who is this specific Monsieur that is being mentioned, which is Francois, a French duke. There was a failed marriage negotiations between the both of them. So that is why we have chosen biographical lens, which seems to be perfect to navigate. So are you all excited to know more about this poem? Watch this. The first stanza is mainly revolving around about the grief of the persona about a lover that she does not have anymore. It is not clear whether the lover is deceased or it's simply a breakup. Now, if we look into the poem in the context of the life of Queen Elizabeth I, it is sort of a giveaway that the Monsieur could have been the Duke of Anjou named Francois that the Queen had failed marriage negotiations with. So maybe because of the feelings that she was grieving for the Duke, she wrote this poem. If we look into the poem, there are a lot of words such as I am, yet I'm not. I freeze, yet I'm burnt, to symbolize the conflicting emotions and feelings that she has about the roles and responsibilities of her being the Queen of England. As the Queen of England, we are very much aware that even King Charles, during the death of Queen Elizabeth II, he was not even in tears. He could not show it, but it was very visible from his facial expressions that he was very sad. But could he wail as if any ordinary person would have done during a funeral? He did not, because he is the monarch himself. He needs to hold through his emotions to appear strong. But Queen Elizabeth I was just like this. She felt so much, but she was not capable of showing. That's why the line was, I grieve, and yet I dare not show my discontent. Because she can't. She has the roles and responsibilities of the Queen of England. If she shows her emotions, she'll be known as vulnerable. And not to mention that her failed marriage negotiation is simply because what if the alliance with that's a particular country might have caused problems to England. So she felt like she might have really loved this person, but simply because of the responsibilities that she has, she simply could not turn it into a choice. So, seems pretty sad.
Yikes, this is such a pitiful situation to be in. Imagine losing the love of your life, yet you're not able or not allowed to process and express the emotions you're experiencing solely due to your job. Thank God Taylor Swift is not the Queen of England. If not, we would not have been blessed with such amazing hits from her. Enough about Queen Americana herself. Moving on to the second stanza of On Monsieur's Departure. The second stanza opens up with the persona expressing her undying emotion for her lover. Her love and care shown to her lover follows her everywhere and is a constant reminder of the heartbreak that she's experiencing. This line can be closely related to Queen Elizabeth I's life. Being a public figure as huge as her, be it her diplomatic affairs or personal issues, especially love issues, it would constantly follow her everywhere and is always on public display. Trust me, paparazzis as well as British tabloids will have a field day on every single piece of information that they could find in regards to Queen Elizabeth's love life. Besides that, the persona deeply regrets the love shown by her lover and desperately wants to get rid of it. Again, this line in the poem can be related to Queen Elizabeth herself when she ended the marriage with the Duke of Anjou. Although Queen Elizabeth adored this French Duke, in the eyes of the English monarch, he was deemed as an unsuitable match for her as he was of French nationality, he is a Catholic follower, and he was very much younger than the Queen herself. Moreover, in this stanza, the persona also expresses that although she has ended things with her lover, the emotions that she has for him is still there and it would only cease when she dies. Hence, it can be assumed that Queen Elizabeth herself may have never moved on from her relationship with this particular French duke.
Moving on to the third or the last stanza of the poem,
this is where the persona flips the Monsieur or the love itself to allow her to feel different kind of emotion other than grief. As for her, it is unsustainable for her to feel that way with her being the ruler of the country. The persona prefers to think that it is okay for her to feel that the lover hated her just so that she could forget the love that she had for him as well as the grief. Moreover, we collectively believe that this poem ended on a sad note, wherein the persona hoped that she could either have a normal life, wherein she could live happily with the love of her life, or just die so that she could forget the love that she had for him. Last but not least, we also believe that the death mentioned in this stanza is metaphorical, wherein she hoped that the part of her that is still in love with him would just die so that she could move on. However, in the context of Elizabeth I, this is what she wishes that she could at least live a normal life, wherein her decision about her love life would be just solely on her own and not dependent of the acceptance of the others.